Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
A very warm welcome in the 5th module of week 1 of the course Roadmap for Patent Creation titled Patent Introduction. In this module, we will share with you a case study of how a single patent can provide competitive advantage to build an organization. This case study is from healthcare industry. I feel this case study is a right representation of combination of inventorship and entrepreneurship. An inventor, very passionate about his domain, invents very unique technique, but unaware about importance of his invention in IP point of view. He was not able to appreciate importance of his invention. No potential IP identification and publication of the invention, and the invention is released in public domain through newspaper. So, one chapter is over, because if generally the rule is that the invention, if comes into the public domain, you can't patent it. Now, this thing is happened in this case. Now, then due to the awareness and promptness of the university, Stanford University, the patent is filed. Now, how this happened? This happened because in USA there was 1 year timeline. Although if you release your patent into the public domain, you have a 1 year timeline, and within that you have to file the patent. That is called as a first to invent. That kind of facility is available in USA only. Now, because of this, the Stanford University could able to file the patent about or on this invention. Eventually, this patent helped to establish a giant organization. And can you guess how much fortune the Stanford University made from this patent? Stanford University made approximately $255 million from the licensing. It is a very interesting story. So, somewhere or the other, such scenario you might have observed. Good invention, but published without patenting, and then lost the chance of exploring the invention for wealth creation. So, this case study may help you to avoid any such scenario. So, let us see what is that success story of an inventor who built a giant organization by taking an advantage of patent system. So, here we go. Can you see who are these scientists? Any guess? Okay, I am giving you another hint. Check this image. Now, any guess? Okay, one more hint. These are the details of the patent. Now, yes, they are Stanley Cohen and Herbert Boyer, and the original assignee is Board of Trustees of the Leland Stanford Junior University. This information on the screen you are seeing is what is publication number, what is publication type, what is application number, what is publication date, what is priority date, who are the inventors, and who is the original assignee. This is an standard format to provide an information about a patent. What do you mean by publication number? What do you mean by publication type, application number? All these things we will see when we will go through the modules in week 3 titled How to Read a Patent Document. What you should understand now is who have invented this invention. So, the inventors here are Professor Stanley Cohen and Professor Herbert Boyer. Professor Cohen is from Stanford University and Professor Boyer is from University of California. They invented gene splicing techniques and then published this invention in a scientific journal before filing. Now, note one professor is from Stanford University in Stanford and the other is from University of California, San Francisco. Professor Cohen have medicine background. He joined the faculty of Stanford University in 1968. He was working as a professor of medicine in 1975 and then as a professor of genetics in 1977. Professor Boyer, he is a biochemist and he joined the faculty of University of California. He was a professor of biochemistry from 1976 to 1991. Professor Cohen was interested in the field of bacterial plasmids and was exploring how genes of plasmids could make bacteria resistant to antibiotics. While Professor Boyer was working in the area how the genes from different sources can be joined. So, for those who are not having genetic engineering background, I will try to explain the work of this scientist with taking an example of a thread. So, please consider an example of a thread. Consider that thread as a chromosome. Now, chromosome, so that some bacteria may have that original that one chromosome and there is one extra chromosome. So, suppose this is one chromosome and this is the another chromosome. So, two chromosomes are there, but generally the another chromosome is small. So, one longer thread and one shorter length. Now, this big circle, small circle. So, these are the chromosomes. Now, what was these two scientists were working? Professor Cohen was working on these chromosomes or threads for understanding to know how some bacteria are resistant to particular thing like a antibiotic. So, Professor Cohen was working on understanding the resistance mechanism exhibited by a bacteria. So, in this case the this chromosome, that is a big circle, is a chromosome and this is called as a plasmid, the small chromosome, and this small chromosome gives a property of a resistance. So, this is the work of a Cohen, Professor Cohen. Now, about a Professor Boyer. He was trying to connect or join the genes. So, for understanding, consider that these two threads again, and now you can just imagine you have to cut this and then you have to join this. So, it is like cutting and then joining of these chromosomes. So, such type of scenario. So, Boyer was trying to connect this and Cohen was trying to understand the mechanism how that genes are giving the resistance. So, these two different mechanisms or two different processes both were working. For understanding, we have taken the thread example, but you can imagine now the things which you are not seeing through your naked eyes, that genes or chromosomes you are not seeing through your naked eyes. Now, you have to cut them very skillfully and then cut the portion you have to insert in another chromosome and then join it, and then it should work in new setup and produce the expected product. So, you can understand the complexity. Two threads, you are going to cut it and after cutting you are joining it, after joining you are putting it into the one cell and in the cell they should exhibit the property. Now, you can understand the complexity of their works. So, these both scientists, they work to resolve this complexity. Now, how exactly the patent filing procedure happened? They have resolved that problem, but how exactly the patent filing procedure taken place? That is a very interesting story. Some 38 years back. Now, as told earlier, the information is published already. So, in such case, patent could be granted only in USA. Why so? Because there is a rule of first to file in patent according to Patent Act, and at that time only in USA the rule was first to invent. What these rules are, that we will see in next upcoming modules. Now, just understand that as per rule, the patent can be filed only in USA and no any other country in the world. Now, next, what was the claim? It was method of producing a protein by expression of gene inserted into any unicellular host. You will ask, what is claim? That also we will see in upcoming module when we will deal with how to read a patent. So, here the claim was nicely drafted to cover the majority of all genetic engineering processes. So, this is the background. Two professors working in two different universities work on the project to produce biologically functional molecular chimeras. Check what Boyer says about the invention. As we understood now the background, now we will see how exactly the patent filing procedure took place. Patent as a rule in USA, that is first to invent, really was a boon in this case. If it would not have been there, that is a first to file rule, then this invention never been patented. So, Cohen, he invented the plasmid, he was working on the plasmid and he is from a Stanford University. Boyer, he was working on restriction endonuclease and he is from a California University. Both met in the conference in 1973 and their work is published in New York Times in 1974. Now, Bob Swayam, he is a entrepreneur, he is actually a venture capitalist and he involved in this case, or he was interested to create a organization or a startup from this by using this patent or that invention. Now, Niels Remers, he is a technology officer of a Stanford University. Now, here what exactly happened is Niels Remers, he come to know about this invention and then he has to contact Cohen, then Boyer and then the three funding resources, that is National Institute of Health, American Cancer Society and National Science Foundation. So, he has taken that efforts, he contacted all of them and then he was also having a time restriction of 1 year, because according to rule, whenever the publication is occurred in and your invention goes into the public domain, after that within 1 year you should file a patent. So, Remers smartly contacted everybody and he had completed the all procedures, patent drafting also was he has completed that procedure also, and on November 4th, 1974, the patent was filed. The patent prosecution procedure. What exactly happened after that? Singer, he was also working in the area of genetic engineering. He raised query regarding the safety of a recombinant DNA and then he contacted National Academy of Science and requested for establishing the guidelines for this. Then Stanford University proactively called a meeting and there was a deliberation on drafting a policy for the patenting in the biotech area. Then NIH, NSF also contributed into that and finally in 1978 Congress approved patenting and licensing in the recombinant DNA technology. Now, in this way finally that approval has come and then in 1980 the patent is granted. Now, how exactly this patent is then transferred or what exactly happened about the technology transfer and how the startup, that is a Genentech, is started. So, check now this image, Boyer and Bob. Bob is a 29-year-old young venture capitalist. He come to know about the invention from the news which was published in the New York Times. Now, he contacted Boyer, but Boyer, he was not interested to meet Bob and he just said that okay, I can give you 2 minutes and you just explain what exactly you want to say. And that meeting went for a long time and later Boyer became director and CEO of Genentech until 1990. So, how this exactly the Genentech, the startup, is started? The investment was just $500 from each of them, that is Bob and Professor Boyer. Boyer coined the term Genentech. How he has coined that term? So, genetic engineering technology. From that he chosen GEN from genetic, EN from engineering and TECH from technology, and thus he coined the term Genentech. The initial capital was just $1,000. So, this was a very good example how the patent from an academic institute formed the startup and which becomes a giant organization. This organization helped hundreds of thousands of patients and they have given the various products using the restriction endonuclease technology. This Genentech, it was founded on 7th April 1976. Genentech produced the first human protein, somatostatin, in a microorganism Escherichia coli in 1977. In 1978, human insulin is produced. In 1979, human growth hormone is produced from the bacterium by using bacteria. In 1980, Genentech went public and raised $35 million with an offering that leapt from $35 a share to a high of $88 after less than an hour on the market. In 1982, first recombinant DNA drug marketed, human insulin, and it was licensed to Eli Lilly and Company. Now, some numbers I will just cite that will give you the idea about the Genentech. The worldwide revenue of Genentech, it was $17.3 billion. Almost 785,000 square feet area it was devoted to research. Total employees 13,300, 35 medicines on the market, and almost 11,300 patents are on the name of Genentech. Roche later, there was a merging that Roche has acquired Genentech. Now, you just see the figures about this acquisition. 1990, Roche Holding Limited of Basel, Switzerland acquired a majority of holdings in Genentech. In 1995, Genentech announced an agreement with Roche Holding to extend for 4 years Roche's option to purchase the outstanding redeemable common stock of the company at a predetermined price that escalates quarterly up to $82.5 a share. In March 2009, Roche acquired Genentech by buying shares it did not already control for approximately $46.8 billion. So, this is the example of Genentech, the giant organization which is formed from a single patent, then a startup, and that startup resulted into the formation of a giant organization which now acquired by a Roche. We can't forget contribution of technology officer and a venture capitalist who had seen the potential in this patent, although inventors are totally unaware about the potential in their invention. So, not only the inventor, the contribution from the technology officer if you are in academic institute or if in the organization IP manager, they have the crucial role to play to identify the potential IP and to explore it further for the wealth creation. So, with this we come to the end of this module. So, with this we come to the end of week 1, Introduction to Patent Definition, Concepts, Patentability. We have seen introduction, property and intellectual property, what is IPR, IP and future areas to explore, and the patent introduction. In the next week, we are starting with a patent searching and analysis. Thank you.